Mr. Chairman, I'm proud to offer this amendment with my colleague from Colorado, Mr. Perlmutter, a strong advocate for common sense policies. Mr. Chairman, this amendment simply changes the date by which the bill rescinds obligated funds. By moving the date to the end of the fiscal year, September 30th, it allows for everyone from local government to innovative clean tech companies the ability to plan for the rest of their fiscal year and not have grants yanked from under their feet. We should not change the rules on people in the middle of the game. It really calls into question the reliability of the federal government. There are so many grants in the queues of these agencies, and recalling all funds unobligated after February 11th will be devastating to local communities and small businesses that are just looking for long-term stability throughout the rest of the fiscal year. Changing the rules after the fact is never a strong good practice. Mr. Chairman, this amendment is pro-business, pro-infrastructure, pro-local government, and deserves to be supported. The amendment is also fiscally responsible and meets the House budget rules. My state of Colorado provides an example as to why this date should be changed. Colorado was awarded a $10 million Tiger-TIFIA challenge grant through the Recovery Act that expands one of the most heavily used and heavily congested highways in our state, creating jobs, fostering economic development, multimodal transportation, the lifeblood of my congressional district and the greater state of Colorado. This $10 million investment helps leverage additional funds in the area, creating $276 million in employment income and over 7,200 jobs. To date, only $900,000 has been obligated, and because the CR rescinds all unobligated funding across the board without thought to details or individual projects, we risk never seeing the remaining $9.1 million that they were promised. And because of that, they could lose $300 million in local funding contingent on the stability provided by the Tiger grant. For the businesses and residents in Colorado, this is simply ridiculous and just doesn't make sense. How could we rescind a small government grant, not an earmark? We've moved away from earmarks, and I've supported that. But what they get replaced by are grants, merit-based opportunities for our projects to compete for federal funds. How could we rescind a grant which through local and state ingenuity they've already leveraged into $300 million in local, state, and private funding? That is not fiscally responsible. I'm hopeful that this was merely an oversight by the committee, and I hope that they will work with me to address this issue. The process to leverage $10 million into $305 million takes time. Colorado was awarded the Tiger-TIFIA Challenge Grant in February 2010, and Colorado and other states were challenged to think bigger and do more with less, but Colorado was the only state to accept that challenge. Many of the other funds have already been obligated under TIFIA. So because they're doing what we wanted them to do, being creative and leveraging the capital, unless we make this change, they could be punished. Colorado's U.S. 36 application did not anticipate a TIFIA loan, but Colorado and the U.S. 36 quarter embraced the challenge. And the application is in. The obligation is expected by September of 2011, consistent with the intention of the challenge grant in the first place. Mr. Chairman, in addition, my amendment would ensure that the long process of applying for a loan guarantee at the Department of Energy, not a grant, simply a loan in this tight credit market, would not mean projects already in the queue would be thrown out. How can we tell a private company to spend time and money applying for something, have it awarded, and then turn around and take it off the table? That's simply bad for business. Similar programs at the World Bank and IMF treat the loan authority authorized by Congress as obligated funds once they're appropriated. We owe it to our small businesses and local governments to provide predictability with regard to federal funding streams. As we move towards grant-based programs, it's critical that people trust and believe in that the federal word is good. I believe that these provisions in the CR run contrary to that, and I ask my colleagues to work with me to address this issue. With that,